Benjamin Šeško this weekend, a player, of course, they looked at signing before Victor Gyökeres. Well, as for Šeško, he chose Manchester United over Newcastle as Amish. So, Šeško in, does that mean Hojlund out?
It doesn't look good for Hojlund with regard to his Manchester United future, but there are clubs that are interested in him, not least AC Milan. They remain in talks with Manchester United over the signing of the Danish international. Milan, for their part, they want to do a loan deal with an option to buy. I think Manchester United would prefer a permanent deal for Rasmus Hojlund, or at least have some sort of permanent element attached to any kind of loan deal. And I think they would probably consider offers of around £40 million. Now, that could come in two forms. If they were to sell him now and get £40 million, I think they'd consider it. If it was a loan with an option, then maybe they can be quite creative with it, a loan fee, and then the rest of that £40 million made up in an option price later on down the line. I think it's being made clear to Hojlund now. I don't think he's under any illusions that maybe Manchester United do want him out. He was an unused substitute in United's pre-season friendly against Fiorentina at the weekend. Ruben Amorim actually chose to play Mason Mount in a false nine ahead of Rasmus Hojlund.
That's a massive sign, isn't it?
It is. And I'm sure he's aware of everything that's going on. He's clearly seen Šeško come into the club and him not getting much match time, even though he was the only striker that was available to them that day. But anyway, he has said he wants to stay and fight for his place. But it's now becoming abundantly clear that he's joined the likes of Jadon Sancho, Garnacho, Malacia, Antony, and previously Rashford as players that United would want to get out of the club.
So the famous five became six, well, it became four, didn't it? Because
it's back to five again.
Back to five,
yeah.
Goodness. All right, what about any more people joining United? Anything else?
Well, we should say that following Šeško's arrival, I think that the focus, even before Šeško arrived, was on sales. Not necessarily making those sales before players come in, but having an assurance and a knowledge that before the end of the window, some of these sales would happen. We mentioned Rasmus Hojlund and AC Milan. Borussia Dortmund still pushing to sign Jadon Sancho. You've got Chelsea and Alejandro Garnacho. Manchester United are definitely expecting a formal offer from Chelsea for Garnacho. Real Betis, yes, they are still trying to sign Antony, however difficult that deal looks. So that would be the priority. However, rather like I said about Arsenal before, if a unique market opportunity was to come along in the remaining 3 weeks of this window, Manchester United want to be in a position where they would be able to do this unique market opportunity. Now, throughout this window, we've talked about areas that they wanted to strengthen, which they have done, particularly in the front line. It's an entire new front three. But central midfielder, talk of that has not gone away. And I don't know whether it's been accentuated, even though United have played okay during pre-season. Some of the criticisms aimed towards them have been the makeup of that central midfield. They are interested in Carlos Baleba from Brighton and Hove Albion. They like the player a lot. They've explored the conditions of a deal. It is going to be a very, very difficult deal to do for many reasons, not least Brighton have got no intention to sell. They don't want to sell. They're under no pressure to sell. He's still got 3 years left on his contract. They've got an option for a further year, and they would want to charge. I mean, some people have even talked about touching 100 million here. So
exactly what United need, though, isn't he?
You could argue that that is what they would need. But as far as Brighton are concerned, not for sale, do not want to sell. However, he hasn't featured since mid-July in pre-season, but that's because of a minor knee issue. And I think a lot of people made more of that when he missed the last game when the United interest came, but it was for the same reason that he'd missed the previous 2 games as well.
Damish, everybody knows that there are 5 players at United surplus to requirements. Does that put United in a really weak negotiating position?
Yes and no. I mean, I don't think it's any secret that Manchester United wanted to do business for these players. But the way that football works now in the finances, it's not just about transfer fees. It's about getting wages off the books as well, so that they can go into the market and perhaps do deals using how PSR works. amortized over a length of a contract is how the transfer fee would be paid. So more and more, if players on high wages, that has become almost as important as when you get the transfer fee as well, even though United would want to maximise the transfer fee. But clearly, of course, when it almost made public knowledge, not directly from the club, of course, that you want to sell 5 or 6 players, clubs might say, well, we'll just wait then. Wait towards the end of the window and then United will get desperate. Even though Ruben Amorim has said all the right things publicly, if that doesn't happen, we'll reintegrate them into the squad. It's not a problem. But clearly, they want them out. They want to maximise their money. They want to get the wages off the books so that maybe, just maybe, later on in the window, they might just go back in to bring another player in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Man United agree loan terms with AC Milan for striker. Manchester United have reached an agreement on loan terms with AC Milan for striker Rasmus Hojlund, according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Man United agree loan terms with AC Milan for striker. AC Milan open talks for Chelsea duo. The Red Devils recently secured the signing of Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig, and he is expected to lead the line next season. As a result, United have opened the door for the transfer of Hojlund despite the Dane stating his intention to continue at Old Trafford. Milan have now agreed a loan deal in principle with the Red Devils, but talks are ongoing with United regarding a possible buy clause. United want close to £34 million for the Dane's transfer on a permanent basis after his loan stint, but Milan are willing to pay £26 million. Milan are keen to sort out the buy clause as soon as possible, but they will also need to convince Hojlund to make the switch to San Siro. Hojlund's agents are holding discussions with the Rossoneri, but as things stand, the striker prefers to continue with the Red Devils. Manchester United handed Carlos Baleba boost after Brighton reject first bid. An opening offer has reportedly been turned down, but Man United remain encouraged. Manchester United have been handed encouragement in their pursuit of Carlos Baleba with Brighton. Having spent upwards of £200 million bolstering the forward line, United have set their sights on strengthening the midfield and have Baleba top of their wish list. Reports last week claimed that contact had been made between the two clubs regarding a deal, during which Brighton slapped an asking price of more than £100 million on their player's head. Tongues were sent wagging over the weekend when Baleba was absent from Brighton's final pre-season friendly, a behind-closed-doors test against Wolfsburg. The 21-year-old has now missed his club's last 3 pre-season games, having not played since mid-July. However, the Argus reports that Baleba has been struggling with a knee injury picked up in training and was with the squad on Saturday to watch his teammates in action. But United are seeming undeterred amid claims they have seen an opening offer rejected for Baleba, which included young midfielder Toby Collier in part exchange. Brighton, meanwhile, are already planning for Baleba's departure with a succession plan in place. It is a tried and tested formula for the Seagulls, who have seen the likes of midfield stars Yves